Hello and welcome. My name's Jackie Gillette.
And my name is David Valbuena.
And we're here today to share with you some of our favorite clarinet duos.
Right, so as some of you may or may not know, the clarinet is an extremely versatile instrument that can play in many different genres and styles.
The first piece that we're going to play for you today is called Sincopando, and it was written by a Colombian composer and clarinetist named Mauricio Murcia.
Right, and Sincopando is really cool because it uses the technique of syncopation. And syncopation is basically when you take the strong beat and it becomes the weak beat, and then vice versa. The weak beat becomes the strong beat. So if we were going to demonstrate something like that, I'm going to clap the strong beat, so I'm just going to clap 4 beats in a row, and then Jackie's going to come in with the syncopation. Okay, ready? Here we go. Right, so you see we kind of play off of each other and we bounce off each other's beat. Now, one thing I forgot to mention about Sincopando is that it's written in a Latin jazz style. So what that means is that it has a lot of jazz influence, but also takes a lot of influence from Latin music as well.
So as you listen to us play this next piece, see if you can hear this syncopated rhythmic battle between the two clarinets. Our next piece is called Mauros Latin, and it's also a Latin jazz piece written by Mauricio Murcia. In this one, you'll be able to hear the syncopated rhythms as well as an ostinato tresillo pattern. That's going to sound something like this.
Right, and so Mauricio really loves these crazy rhythms and bringing them in and out of his music. And ostinato is one of those techniques that he uses to kind of showcase rhythm. So what an ostinato is basically a rhythm that happens over and over and over again throughout a piece. And this tresillo rhythm that Jackie just clapped is you're gonna be able to hear that coming in and out of the piece at different times. This rhythm can be found in many different kinds of Latin styles of music, such as the habanera or danzón, maybe even a little bit of salsa.
So if you're in the spirit and you're up for it, you can grab anything around the house. You could even use a wall. You can clap. As you listen, see if you can hear that tresillo pattern. So it'll be, we'll play a little bit of the first few measures for you so you could see what to listen for.
All right, so you can get it in your ear.
1, 2,
French composer Poulenc's Sonata for 2 clarinets, although very different in style than the Colombian duets that you just heard, plays around a lot with rhythm and time.
In the opening movement, which we're about to play, you should be able to hear that the clarinets are actually in 2 different time signatures.
Right, and giving the clarinets music in different time signatures creates a sense of imbalance and uncertainty that kind of makes the piece really interesting.
To further explain what this means, we're just going to show you a little test that you can do at home with a family member, with a friend, or at school if you're in school. So I'm going to count in 4, and every time I get to the number 1, I'm going to give it a little accent or make it a little heavier. David's going to do the same thing, but he's going to be counting to 5, and we're going to do it at the same time. So here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1.
And you see, after 5 measures, we're going to end together at 1. Pretty crazy. It's definitely a brain twister, but it's really fun. Try it at home and see if you can listen for that while we play this piece. So Mozart is arguably one of the most famous composers of classical music that ever lived. I'm sure that many of you have heard his name somewhere, whether it had been at school or on TV in a movie, or maybe you've even listened to some of his music on your own. He was definitely a master at writing for the orchestra, chamber music ensemble, solo piano, but he was most prolific as an opera composer.
This next piece that we're going to play is actually a transcription of a duet from one of Mozart's most famous operas, Don Giovanni. In this part of the opera, Don Giovanni is asking Zerlina to give him her hand, or La ci darem la mano in Italian, so they can run away together.
And in our opinion, the clarinet is one of the best instruments to write a vocal transcription for because it has a very singing and smooth tone quality. So while you're listening to this piece, try and listen and see if you can hear the two characters in the opera singing together through our clarinets.
The next piece that we're going to play is another transcription from Mozart's opera Don Giovanni. This aria is called Vedrai carino.
There are so many distinctive characteristics in this next genre that we're going to play for you guys. Before we tell you the name of the genre, let's see if you can guess it with a couple of clues.
So clue number 1. This genre typically uses a swing rhythm. In classical music, we generally play our notes pretty straight and even, like this. But in this genre, we play them swung, like this. Clue number 2. This genre uses many different types of techniques. One of them is called a glissando. And a glissando is basically a smear from a lower note to a higher note, or it could be the opposite. Mm-hmm. And it's used to connect those notes without using different notes in between.
Right. So if I was going to play a scale with the notes separated in between, it would sound something like this. But if I decided to glissando up that scale and just smear all the notes together, it'll sound like this.
Clue number 3. Typically in classical music, the clarinet actually won't use a lot of vibrato. But in this style of music, it's pretty more common.
Right. It's very common. So, for example, just to show you the difference between a vibrato note and a non-vibrato note, the non-vibrato note will be held straight through without much movement, like this. And the vibrato note will have a little bit more of a vibration to it. So it'll sound like this.
Nice. So did you guess the genre? If you said jazz, then you're right. This next piece that we were playing is in a jazz style. It's called Views of the Blues, and it was written by George Lewin. So you can look out for the 3 separate movements or 3 separate parts of this piece.
So we have two more pieces to play for you today. Unfortunately, these are the last two pieces of our virtual mini concert. We're happy to be able to keep playing the music of Mauricio Murcia. Now, we love his music because he includes a lot of Colombian and Latin influences in all the music that he writes, as well as classical and jazz influence in there too. The next piece we're going to play is a piece called Llanero. And Llanero is in a joropo style, which is basically a traditional Colombian style of music that was going on for many years in the indigenous communities in Colombia and has found its way into popular culture in more recent days. As you can see, I have a different instrument here. This is not that anymore. It used to be that, but now this is much bigger. This is actually called the bass clarinet, and it's part of the clarinet family in the sense that it's also a single reed instrument. So if we can just kind of show our reeds to the camera, you see we both have this kind of mouthpiece and single reed mechanism going on here. But as you can see, it's much bigger, right? Everything about the bass clarinet is just huge. Of course, because it's so huge, it can play a lot lower than the regular soprano clarinet. So Jackie, if you could you please play your lowest note?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so that is the lowest note on the soprano clarinet. If I was to play the same note on the bass clarinet, which is actually the same fingering, it would sound like this. So it's quite a bit lower. And actually, the bass clarinet has the ability to go even lower than that. So I have that low E, and then I can go a few more lower. So we get to enjoy that massive vibration of the lower register of the bass clarinet. While you're listening to this piece, be sure to check in and see if you're hearing those bass notes along with the high notes of the clarinet, but hearing that play between the bass notes of the bass clarinet and the high sounds of the clarinet.
piece is another one by composer Mauricio Murcia, and it's called Demelo.
So Demelo in Spanish basically means like tell me. But like when you say that to somebody, when you say Demelo, that's kind of like what's up, what's going on, you know, what's happening. So it's a good thing to know how to say, and I think it was a very appropriate title for this piece because it's a lot of fun. It's very inviting. It definitely makes you want to dance because Mauricio uses a lot of these Latin rhythms and jazz rhythms that we talked about earlier today.